Wow, absolutely, yes.
So uh, when I was a child, when I was 9 or 10, all children draw, but when I was about 9 or 10, I was given special permission in class to draw pictures because my pictures were nice. So that's when I realized that was my little thing that I could do. And so at that age, you know, like in every school, there's the person who's good at sports, the person who's funny, the person who's good at maths. I was the guy who was good at art. So that became sort of the defining thing I was the guy in the class who was good at drawing pictures.
So it's like your confidence comes from others' commitment. Like
I don't have very much confidence, so I think more just an awareness that I could do it was early. Confidence is problematic. Confidence is a problematic phenomenon. I think anyone who makes art, you're always, at least I'm always conscious of how much better it could be. You know, so you never go, oh, that's brilliant. You know, it's always like, oh, that's okay, but I could do better the next time. But yeah, I was aware that I had a distinct talent when I was very young. Yeah, very, very young.
okay, so since that you know that you have talents, but when did you become an artist? Like, how can you say, yeah, when you introduce yourself, you say, yeah, I'm an artist?
That's a very interesting question, and I have a little bit of a long answer to that. The answer is when I was published. The answer is when I was published and I earned money, then I could say to people. So until then, I wasn't comfortable saying it.
Yeah.
Also, I was very sensitive to the idea that it was a hobby.
Yeah.
People would say, that's a lovely hobby.
Yeah.
It must be nice sitting at home drawing pictures. Also, I didn't begin to take illustration seriously. I went to art school when I was very young, when I was 18. I failed that year, went to university and did something completely different.
Okay.
And then sort of left it for years.
Yeah.
So for many years, every now and again I was painting. So when I was 29, which is 16 years ago, I went to art school. I was living in Spain.
Yeah.
I did that for 3 years. Then I began to speak more confidently. Oh yeah, this is what I do.
So what about before 29 years old?
So basically, living in Spain, a lot of drinking, a lot of partying,
Yeah.
a lot of...
Wow.
Yeah,
So before
yeah.
Spain, you are not confident enough to say I'm an artist because you don't live on it.
Yeah, sort of. Now that I think about it, that's part of the reason. Also, it gets complicated. Also, because I failed my first year in art school, that had a huge effect on my confidence because I did very badly. In retrospect, the reason why I failed wasn't a lack of ability, but at the time, that's what it felt like.
Yeah.
So that had a big effect. So it took a few years. It wasn't really until I went to art school in Spain and got in and began doing well there. I was 30, I was much older. Then I began to think, oh, maybe this is okay. I can do this.
You know, in course we are talking about like artists as a freelancing. It's a little bit similar like entrepreneur. Actually.
Yeah. It is.
So,
I think very similar.
Yeah.
Very
So
similar.
people say that if you are entrepreneur, you should generate profit.
Yeah.
If you don't generate profit, it means that it's just your hobby.
Yeah.
So do you agree with this? Because according from what you say, what defines you as an artist?
Well, I would say, I mean, the fact that I would have defined myself as an artist on that basis, I don't necessarily think that the financial criteria is black and white. I mean, I think there are people who are producing a very high level of art, but not making very much money. Maybe they're getting a grant or something to do so. So I think there's a lot of grey areas in between. A freelance illustrator is an entrepreneur, but because you're doing something artistic, you always have. I mean, an entrepreneur in the pure sense maybe will do anything for money. An illustrator maybe will have things they won't do, and I certainly would be. I'm a little bit precious about the commissions I do. I don't want to do I want to be proud of the work I do and that I can show to people. So you're entrepreneurial in some ways, but you're also a little bit precious and a little bit artistic and a little bit special as well. It's a combination of the two.
So when you look back, who influenced your artwork?
As an illustrator?
Yeah.
Oh, lots of people.
Can you name some people?
In the early days, I mean,
Yeah.
probably, I might write them down for you because they're not very well known. Maybe they are. But as a teenager,
Yeah. Are they drawing comics?
yeah.
Okay.
Although George Gross was for some reason they're the first three. There are many, many more examples,
Yeah.
but they come to my mind. I mean,
Okay.
artistic influence is not just something vague and spiritual. It's very, it is at the beginning, but one of the most important things I think an artist can do is copy other people's work. Not like plagiarism or theft, but just copy exactly what they do. You learn so much. So even if you don't think their style is amazing, just by drawing their style,
But
you learn. So it's like an education.
that's interesting because when other artists that I interview, when they talk about copying, they kind of deny saying,
It depends. I think
they influence me, but I don't.
No,
I'm not their shadow. I don't follow it.
No, this is not a
Yeah.
question of copying. I think there are two things here. First of all, if you have a style like I have a style, even if I wanted to change, I couldn't change. So when I say copying, I mean as a separate exercise. So for example, if you're a musician, you compose music, you do this, but every now and again you listen to another song, you play that song to see how they do it.
Yeah.
So it's not that you're integrating this into your own work. You're simply wondering how do they do that. And the only way you can figure out how they do that is by copying it, but as an exercise, it's a form of education. And this was actually something we did in art school in Spain. I went to an illustration school. A really important part of that was doing copies of what you liked. So it's a form of training. Yeah, if you say, oh, this is my work, that's copying in a sort of negative sense. But if you do it openly to learn, that's really important. Really, really important. And really recommended as well.
So that is one of the surprising things that I found because before I interviewed so many artists, I was thinking that those ideas come from yourself, but actually not. It's
never. I mean,
Yeah.
if you have a unique style, and if you look at my work, I think it is. You can always see that it's my work. So that's there anyway. But I mean, we're constantly being influenced by other people. And some people are just intrinsically more original than others. But I don't think you can make yourself. Anyway, that's my feeling.
Yeah.
I feel confident that all of my work is very original. So the influences are, but you have to be open to influences as well.
Yeah. So, what do you think the most challenging part about being an artist?
The boredom of sitting at the table for hours and hours looking at the same thing.
Do you find challenge?
Yeah, I get really bored looking at the drawing. Once you start a drawing,
Bored?
yeah, and I have to work with that. So, but that again, that's a personal quirk. That's probably one of the main reasons why I'm not doing it all the time.
Yeah.
When you're mentally very active, I need that. And whereas drawing is active, but it's very. Yeah, so
That is
that's my honest
interesting.
answer. It's an
That
honest
is
answer.
an interesting answer because other people might say like financial parts or applying for grants, those difficulties.
Most of my income comes from teaching.
Yeah.
So, because I like and I love teaching. I actually prefer teaching to drawing, but I draw because I have to. It's a part of my expression.
Yeah.
But I don't enjoy it very much. but it's something I do because it's a deep need, a deep creative need. But I'd be lying if I said I enjoy. I mean, every now and again I enjoy the product, maybe, or I enjoy the fact that other people enjoy the work. But actually doing it, no, I prefer reading and writing and teaching. So it's a strange combination.
Yeah. Okay. So when you look back, how do you think those opportunities, did they come to you or are you chasing after them?
That's a good question.
Because I saw that you have many opportunities.
Both. What do I think? Mostly, I went looking mostly, and I was targeting certain things.
So you're not just posting your stuff and waiting
Yeah,
to see.
yeah, I do that. I did that, and I've done that, and it's disheartening because the vast majority of people don't reply. It's horrible.
Yeah.
But I think, the biggest things for me were the children's book, for example, I did a few years ago. That was just I directly sent to the publisher, and he said, okay. The political cartoons, initially I sent samples to a magazine, and a month later he said, okay. But then other ones I've sent, and there's no. I got a lot of answers where they simply say, "Thank you, we like your work, but we don't have money for this type of thing." Or other times, for example, my most regular political cartoon work, the editor of the magazine is a friend of mine. Now it's not like nepotism; it's just that he knew me, I knew him.
Yeah, but it's networking.
But the work has to be good.
Yeah.
If the work wasn't good, they wouldn't publish it. So that was a combination. Like in Ireland, especially. I imagine Taiwan is similar. It's quite small.
Yeah.
A lot of life is who you know.
Yeah.
It's not in a good way and a bad way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both.
So, well, being an illustrator in terms of consistency. So how do you think that your change between political comics and children's books? That's a huge gap.
Yeah. And again, it's very interesting. Because I get bored very easily, I like the mixture. If I was doing the same style all the time, I'd go crazy. So, but also, I think, have you heard of an illustrator called Dr. Seuss?
Dr. Seuss.
Dr. Seuss, S-E-U-S. He was an American, he's very well known in S-E-U-S. He had a Dr. Dior at the beginning. Look him up, there's a lot of stuff. But he was interesting, he was active in the 40s, 50s and 60s. And he was originally a political cartoonist, but he's most famous for his children's books. And there's a surprising amount of overlap between the two. You'd be surprised in terms of style. And I know that some of my political cartoons I deliberately tried to work in elements of fantasy and science fiction simply because I enjoy drawing that type of thing. So there's a surprising amount of overlap. There can be between the two worlds. But my main answer is that I enjoy the diversity. I enjoy the different styles, the different...
But do you care what others people thinking about your
in
work?
terms of, do you do one thing?
Yeah.
I care in two ways. I care, first of all, in terms of getting the work and getting paid. And secondly, what I most care about is the esteem of other illustrators and cartoonists. What do they think? People who are in the same area. So I really, that's probably, that's what you crave the most. Is like, comments from people who are doing the same thing as you. Because most people in general simply say, oh, that's really good, that's really funny, and that's all.
Yeah.
So you want to hear something more useful. Like, the hands are not very good. I like your use of ink. So,
well, actually in the video there is 8 questions, like, what is your daily schedule?
It depends on the job. So if I'm doing a comic for a magazine, I'll spend 2 days doing that and nothing else. But then because I'm teaching a lot, my daily schedule is different every week. So basically I might maybe, for example, right now, these weeks, because I'm doing a thesis here, which is academic, and I'm teaching, and I'm also doing cartoons, I tend to give 1 day over to each thing. So, for example, so each day will be different. If I'm working, to answer your question about the illustrating, I have a room at home, a studio at home. So what I'll do is I'll try to work on the particular project until it's finished. Even if that means working until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. I'll just keep going and then spend the next day resting and then do something. So I don't have a very obvious routine.
Yeah. Do you feel sometimes bored to work at home? Even you have a special space only for you, but...
I could, but because I go out a lot as well, it's okay, but it is difficult. And there are so many distractions.
So you're thinking about, like, rent a studio?
I've thought about that. Yeah, I've thought, and they're actually quite cheap as well. So I've considered that. I haven't done that, but I have looked into it as a possibility because that would force you to go for if there are other people around you who are working. Yeah, it has a positive. So I haven't done that, but I have looked into it and seen that the prices are quite affordable as well.
Okay, so, well, where's your inspiration coming from?
You can hear, but usually an idea or a word. So when I'm doing political cartoons, I've got a theme. So I write the story first and then do the pictures.
So the story will be coming from every day you read news and...
Yeah, usually for that sort of thing I send 2 or 3 options to the editor and he decides which one is best.
So there's a question. Is it the children's worship comes first or the children's books comes first?
Say again? The workshops?
Yeah, the workshop or the children's book comes first?
The children's books. The workshops that I do are very recent. It's only been in the last 2 years. And that only happened because somebody asked me to do it. And then when I saw that it was going well, I decided to turn it into a small business. So now I don't have much time, but for example, last week I did a workshop. But yeah, that came, so I bring examples of my work and say, hey guys, this is what I do. And then they're all quite excited, they're all teenagers or kids. And basically I have a system in place for teaching. And the kids I work with can vary a lot. One of the groups I work with regularly have, do you know what Asperger's syndrome is, or autism?
Yes.
They have that type of difficulty, so they're teenagers who are socially very awkward. But they draw with great passion, so it's really interesting. I love that.
Okay. So, you draw children's book because you have children, or
no, I don't have children. So I did the children's book. I did 2 children's books, but I liked the story. I don't know. It wasn't anything to do with children. Actually, it was more the style. I like that style of illustration. I liked the story. It was more a question of style.
Okay.
I like the style of illustration.
Actually, I'm thinking a children's book, it's for adults.
Some are, I mean, adults certainly enjoy them as much as children. So I think but to me the style, I love the style of children's book illustration, and I love the fantastical possibilities of the children's book illustration. So it's probably an artistic question for me, first and foremost.
So, what makes your work unique and different from other people?
OSCL. Oh no, it's
I think, first of all, I think I have a style which people recognize. I've been told it's quite distinctive. I think what makes my work probably unique is my strange combination of backgrounds. So I've got different degrees in English and sociology, but also illustration. So this combination of academic and artistic is quite unusual, and I think that probably makes my work quite unique.
Well, but I'm thinking that you are already famous, right?
No.
I don't know if this question is proper enough or not.
Are
you thinking about becoming famous one day?
No, I mean I would like to be better known, but I would like to be in more national media. So it is a sort of it's a difficult question only because when you get older you realize it's not important. I know that sounds very philosophical, but it's true. And if you don't realize that, you're that's a very young person's aspiration. So I'm in the middle. I'm 45. I'm in more past the middle of my life now. I have another 20, 30 years of. It's not very much time. So I know it's not a priority. A priority for me would be the craft, the quality of my work. But when I was 25, when I was young, I would have wanted to be famous. Yeah, I think it's a very when you're young, most people they want. That's what you think it's going to solve. As you get older, you realise it's not. It's nice, but it's. And I know people who, a friend of mine from college is a politician. I know people who are recognised all the time, and it's horrible.
Horrible?
Yeah.
You mean?
It's just you feel people feel they know. Like a friend of mine is he's a friend of a friend. He's actually the ex-husband of a woman who did the course I'm doing now here and recommended it to me. I know for him all the time he has to hide. Do you know Game of Thrones? He's an actor in Game of Thrones, Aidan Gillen, and he is recognised all the time.
Okay.
And it's just really, really annoying. He has to sort of wear a hat, or he has to, So the good thing is he can make a lot of money on the basis of.
So, what channel are you using to promote your work?
The internet. But Facebook. For my workshops, but also for my work in general. I have a personal Facebook page, but I use it more for my work than I do for. I'm on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook. I'm on all of the social media, but my experience has been both for my workshops and my work. The vast majority of work has come from people who know somebody who I know, not because of corruption, but because they know this is a guy who's reliable.
There's a connection.
And they know you'll do the job. You're not some crazy artist who say, and do nothing. So most of the work I get is through knowing somebody who, this guy's reliable. It's not just, are you good or will you do the work? It's are you reliable? Will you produce what we ask? So I see promotion for me is a form of, I think you need to have a presence. So I think it's what people look at after they've decided they want to use your work. They then look at your online presence on social media and say, okay, this person exists on social media, therefore he is sort of real. He's not just some guy.
Active.
Yeah, he's active, he's doing stuff all the time. But it hasn't really. I'm trying to think. There have been one or two cases where I got small commissions based on, particularly through Facebook, for example, for portraits, for caricatures. So small work, but no, by being out there and people see you, you get things. Eventually you get little things.
So what about? Do you contact agents sometimes? Or?
No, but it's a very good option. Only because I'm too busy with everything else. I have no time, but. That said, I have friends who've used agents, and it can be a frustrating experience as well. So I would have mixed feelings. I have no intention of doing so for the time being, because I have my own projects, and that's what I do. But it is a very good option. I would never. The frustration people have is.
Try and get 151%.
The commission, that the agent takes from the work. But I mean, that's life. That's everything in life.
So, so here's the diagram. So where would you place yourself currently?
I like this. I didn't do this, did you?
Yeah.
But do you have to be on?
Well, up to you.
Like in relation to my illustration work in particular.
Currently,
because most of my finances come from teaching. So.
It's actually really catchy song. I was going to tag you and I was like, is that lame?
Oh, why?
Because I'm still doing what I want to do. I don't really do any work and I'm lucky. I've done very little work, which I'm not proud of. It's one of the good things about not doing it for all the time.
Okay.
This way.
So this is the illustration part.
Yeah.
Okay. So what about the current stages? Like currently, you are in which stage?
Oh my god! I read a paper.
In terms of.
What do you think about your life now?
Right.
Is it meaningful financially?
Oh, well, in a general sense, they're both good.
They're both good.
Yeah, in a general sense,
So
they're
it
both
will be balanced.
Yeah, very
for
balanced.
you.
But just because of other things. Oh, this is what you, okay, I get you.
Yeah. So it will be here for you as illustration. Okay.
Basically, he stopped the bus.
So, well, well, I think I know this one. You have kind of teaching job beside.
Yeah.
Okay. So the last question.
He said that she only paid that stuff.
Use one sentence to define yourself. What it will be.
Yeah.
In the illustration
Yeah,
context.
but and then she was like, she felt
Well,
In everything.
in everything,
Oh,
you.
well, okay.
and then like they done the bus with you moved 7.5 grand.
Well, I mean, because illustration is not at the top of my list of my personal life is more important.
Yeah.
My romantic life, my girlfriend, my faith, my religious faith is more important. Christian. These are all much more important to me than
Maybe he was
my work is very important.
Yeah.
It probably was, when I was younger, it was everything. But you know, again, you know, as you learn and live, you realise it's part of everything,
Yeah.
part of everything else. So, in one sentence, I mean, hopefully a man of integrity.
Okay.
That's what I would say. That would be.
Okay. So. Okay. So, if I ask you for advice for young artists, what kind of advice you would give? Because I've been interviewing many young artists, they are
I'm thinking
really
of the sort of
struggling.
advice that I would like to have heard myself.
Yeah.
Which is because I didn't get any advice. Well, I did, and it actually had an effect on me. Before I give you my own piece of advice, when I was about 15,
Yeah.
we had a substitute art teacher in school, and our normal art teacher was really bad, really weak, really just a weak teacher. Bad. He shouldn't have been a teacher. He had no. He was like a glass of warm water. He was nothing. And this very energetic, interesting guy came in, and he said to me, "Don't ever stop drawing pictures, no matter what people say, and no matter how difficult it seems. Always keep on drawing pictures." That actually was the one piece of advice. You know, that's all there is. You know, you have to keep on going, and you have to keep on improving the craft. So I would say commitment. I would say, and I have this on my wall of my studio, little encouraging pieces of paper. One of them is commitment to craft. So always be committed to the craft of what you're doing.
Yeah.
And of course, everything else is important. You know, you're not going to lock yourself away in the attic. You know, that's crazy. You'll go mad. But if you commit yourself to improving your craft all the time, that to me is the most important thing. Because you're never going to be good. You're always going to want to be better, better. And if you stop for 6 months, you'll go backwards. You know, so it's like physical fitness. So you have to keep on. So yeah, commitment to craft. Yeah, that would be my strongest.